If you are an administrator within Perform and Engage, you can visit the Web Administration platform. Once you're inside your account, you will see a few options to configure the system. First of all, under Organization, you will see a number of options to configure both check-ins, conversations, and reporting within the back end of the system. First off, if you want to modify the questions, simply click on the Questions submenu item. This will then load the existing questions set up for this organization. If you haven't set any questions yet, then this will show the default questions. You'll then notice that you can create both question groups and new questions. A question group represents a group of questions which can have a certain schedule. So when you create a new group, you can specify the start date and the end date of the question group, together with how often that check-in should occur. In this case, we have one group already called org-wide questions, which has 5 questions in there already. To add additional questions, simply click on Create New Question. At that point, you can either choose to add from our curated question library, where you can search either by category or by topic, or you can add your own question by simply clicking Create Custom Question. There are a range of different question types available, from text, choice, rating, binary, or recognition-based questions. You'll also have the ability to specify any additional options you wish, such as anonymity, allowing multiple responses or private responses, attachments, or even sending this question to the manager rather than the employee. In addition, you can connect responses to Teams channels. So any Teams channels that you have set up within your organization can be connected to this question. If you're using multiple languages across your organization, this is where you can also specify the different language to use for the question. So for example, if your default language is American English, but you wish to ask your French employees in French language, you can also configure the question in French by selecting from the drop-down menu. In addition, as well as setting questions across the organization, you can create question groups at department level. In this case, you can see we have human resources specified, team level, based on the team manager, or even down to using person properties. Now, person property allows you to utilize any property that you've uploaded in the system, such as location or role type, and then create a group just for those individuals. A great example of how to use this is an onboarding group. So as soon as people join your organization, if you add them to the onboarding group, they will automatically receive specific questions just for them. In addition to questions, you can also configure the check-ins themselves by clicking on the check-ins submenu item. So whilst your check-ins have a frequency and a number of questions, you can also specify how often check-ins happen. In this case, you can see that we have every Friday, all company check-in. However, you can override that at different levels. So say, for example, we have a specific department. In this case, we want to specify a different one for sales. We can simply change their cadence to be once per month. And in this case, sales will check in once per month, while everyone else will check in once per week. You have the ability to do this configuration at department, team, or once again, at the individual level. The next submenu item to look at is conversations. If you click on conversations, this will load up a list of your conversation plans. Within this, you will see plans, templates, and 360-degree templates. Plans specify how and when conversations will be run. So when you click on Create New Plan, you can provide a plan name. You can specify whether individual departments will receive this template. If you select nothing, then all departments will receive it. And then finally, you select the template that you want to use. So in this case, we are going to run a probation review. You then have some additional statistics. So key statistics allow you to expose specific metrics from within one of those templates. So whether it's performance ratings or something else. Once you specify the key statistic, it will appear on the dashboard of that plan. You can then specify which reviewers to add. In this case, it defaults to manager, but we could specify secondary managers, heads of department, or even the initiator of the review itself. If the template is being configured with multiple reviewers, the multiple reviewer options will appear here too. You then have the ability to specify how often you would like this to be run. Ad hoc allows you to run it whenever you wish, and you can specify whether that could be started by an employee, a manager of an employee, or maybe the HR representative. You can specify specific dates when you would like to run this. This is great for annual reviews. You may wish to specify a start date at the beginning of the year, an end date at the end of the year, and then generate a review very close to the end of the year so you have a full year picture. You can specify repeating. So, for example, you could run something every month or every so many months. You can specify this to hook to the employee start date. So when the employee starts in an organization, it will automatically trigger. Or you can specify employee anniversary. Once again, if you're running your performance reviews based on the employee's anniversary rather than the calendar date, then you can use this option. That's how you create plans. Once your plan is created, you can specify whether it's live or in draft. You can also access data and also the dashboard for each of these templates from within this screen. The next tab is templates. And templates is where you actually create the conversation templates themselves. It's super quick and simple to get started with a template. So if we click on Create New Template, we can specify the type of template we want to create. In this case, we'll do an employee review. Let's create a one-to-one template. We're going to start it from scratch, and then we have some visibility settings. Click Create. The first thing you need to do is create a workflow. So each conversation requires a workflow, at least one stage. So let's add a stage where the employee reflects. The stage access represents who can access this stage. We'd like this to be the employee. And then we can add a description if we want. In addition, there is a range of options available within a stage. Most of these aren't relevant for us in this one-to-one reflection stage. However, you can set a stage to be calibration based. This is where, if you're doing a performance review, ratings can be calibrated by managers, department leads, and HR. You can generate a talent map, and generating a talent map would take data from the review itself and push it into the talent map. You can auto close a stage. This will mean that you can only keep this stage open for a number of days. So if we said 5 days, as soon as this conversation is created, then it will be closed after 5 days. Without this set, the review will stay open until the employee, in this case, pushes it to the next stage. There are further options around reminders, booking meetings using your Teams and Outlook calendars, or also including stage instructions. Let's click Save. We've now created our first workflow. Now let's add a new stage to this workflow. In this case, it will be a discussion. So the discussion will be between the employee and the manager, in this case, a primary reviewer. And this will be a talk. So in this case, we would like to specify a meeting for this because we would like there to be a half-an-hour meeting to represent this one-to-one. We simply click Save. We've now created our full workflow for a simple one-to-one. If you're doing a performance review, this may be more stages involved, including manager feedback, peer feedback. But in this case, we have an employee reflection stage and a discussion stage. You can also add notifications. So if you click on the little message icon above, you can specify email or Teams notifications that will be sent to the representative of that stage. Once you've created your first workflow, you can then close the workflow screen and start creating your template. The template consists of sections, and then within sections, we have what we call section elements. So if we add a new section here on the right-hand side, let's call it reflection. We specify the stages this will appear in. In this case, we'll want it to appear in both stages. And then who can view this section itself? It's fine that all of our attendees can see this section. We've now created our section. We then may want to provide another section, in this case called feedback, and this will be for the manager. And we'll want this to be in the discussion stage. So we've now created two simple sections. We can add in section elements to each section. So in reflection, we can specify any of these element types. We have element types which are static, so things like headings and paragraphs and images. Feedback, which is essentially text fields or multiple choice or checkbox fields. Sliders, where you will be rating something, whether it's numeric or assessment. Analytics, this is where we can bring data in from check-ins, for example, and automated elements, which is where we'll feed data in from goals, check-ins, competencies, any different way within the system. The great thing about the templating system within Perform and Engage is that you can automate a lot of the data. So in this case, why don't we add a few elements to the screen? First of all, let's add in some reflection from our automated elements. So we can pull in our question response summary. This will bring in responses from the check-in itself. So in this case, we will say, what are our achievements this month? And then we can then attach that to one of the questions. So what have you achieved this week will be our selected question. That will help populate this text box. This is editable by the employee. So let's specify that. And then what stage will it be visible? Well, it will be visible in all of the stages within the workflow. We simply click create, and we now have our first element added. We can then go in and add any other elements we want. So for example, we may want to search for our goal review. And this will bring in goals automatically into the system. If we have different categories, we can bring those in, but we're just going to bring all of those in for now. Click create, and we've now created our goal section. Finally, we may add a quick text box, which will have any other comments for the employee to add. And now we have our text box. Finally, we'll add some manager feedback. This is a very simple example of how you can put together a workflow and a template within the Conversations template editor. There are many ways you can create more complicated workflows and templates, and we have lots of help within our help pages. Now you can see we've created our template. We also have our workflow in place, so the template is ready to go. We can click to preview this at any time in the top left-hand side. When we click on the preview, we can see both the stage and who's viewing the stage. So in this case, we're logged in as the employee, and you can immediately see we have our achievements text box with all of the options to view our responses. We can even use AI to summarize or add everything to the review. We have our goals section. We have no goals set, but you can add goals within the system here very easily. And then finally, we have our any other comments. We can change the stage by clicking on the different stages at the top. And you'll see that if we go into here, we now have the feedback section shown. But because I'm viewing this as an employee, it's non-editable. I click on Reviewer 1. When it reloads, you'll now see it's editable by Reviewer 1. Changing the stage and who you're viewing this as allows you to see how the workflow will operate in reality. You also have the ability to test notifications within this screen. Once you've created your template and your workflow, simply return to your template screen, and you'll see your template appears within the table below. You can now reference this template within any of your plans. In a very similar way, you can create 360-degree templates. A 360-degree template is pretty much the same as a standard conversation template, apart from the fact that this is intended to be answered by peers or others within the organization. So you're asking questions of them rather than the manager and the employee. Once you've created your 360-degree template, you can then, within a conversation template, put in your 360-degree settings, and this will automatically bring 360 feedback within a standard conversation template. That's how you use conversation templates within the system. Finally, you'll also see that you're able to manage employees directly within this screen as well. So simply click on Manage, and you'll automatically see all the people within the organization. Here, you can add new people to the organization or view the hierarchy. So if I click on each hierarchy below, I can see each individual. However, in most instances, you will be using the setup with Entra ID. This will automatically populate everything within your Manage People screen. To view this screen, simply click on the cog icon on the right-hand side of the screen. Click on Integrations, and then you will see all of the available integrations within the system. Click on Azure AD, and if you've already connected to the Azure directory, you can click View Details. This is where you can administer all the synchronization of Azure AD and Entra ID into the system. If you need support with this, please view our technical documentation on the support site or speak to your IT representative. Here you can specify how often you synchronize and whether there's any specific overrides in the system that you use. Aside from check-ins, conversations, and managing people within here, you can also access talent mapping system, which allows you to create templates for talent mapping. Here you can create 9-box or any different way of specifying how you create succession plans in your organization. In addition, you have access to settings for the whole organization by clicking on Organization Settings. This loads up everything from your billing, invoices, and your user administration. And you also have the ability to manage competencies. If you're using skills or competencies within your system, here you can create competency groups. You can add new competencies, which allow you to create competencies for different people in the organization or different roles, or across the entire organization. Once again, anything you do with competencies will automatically synchronize to any conversations where you're referencing skills or competencies within the system. Please bear in mind that the functions that I've shown will be based on your permissions in the system. If you have super admin rights, you'll have access to all of these. If you have IT admin rights, HRBP, you will have a subset of the rights that I have demonstrated.